Welcome to the finish line from So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and I've had a lot of questions regarding my air quilting system. Well, there's air quilting and there's also air sewing. What is it? How can it benefit us? And well, how do you do it? Well, air quilting is very simply sewing or quilting without thread. You remove your top thread and your bobbin thread. If you have a computerized machine, you're going to have to go into the settings and change the settings so it can't read your thread. If you don't change that, your machine will either stop all the time or will beep to let you know that you've run out of thread or you have no bobbin left. Well, we don't want thread and we don't want bobbin thread, because what we are going to do is we are going to quilt and sew with no thread at all. This takes the fear out of quilting and sewing because we can go as fast as we want, as slow as we want, and we have no worries about our thread tangling up underneath, breaking, or jamming into the machines. So this gives us a chance to learn our speeds. We can learn how fast we want to go and how fast does the machine want to go. And this gives us a chance to learn to work together at a speed that we like. We can try many different patterns and try them in different speeds and different sizes. The bonus is we get to quilt on the same piece of fabric over and over again because there's no thread. Yes, we are going to have holes in our fabric after a while, but I'm not too worried about that because this is all to help us train ourselves and get comfortable with either new machines, new techniques, or new designs. Some computerized machines are designed so they regulate our stitch length for us, so our stitches always look the same distance apart, which makes it look really nice when we're quilting. But that stitch regulation is built in with our hands, not our foot. Having our pedal pushed down all the way or partially is not going to adjust that stitch length. That is all determined by how fast we move the fabric. And by air quilting, it gets us a chance to regulate ourselves and the machine so that we work together. And it's really quite simple. Before we do air quilting, we do need to turn those sensors off. I'll show you on my Q20. However, yours might be slightly different, though it does have the same theory. We need to go into the home button, and then we need to get into some kind of a maintenance, and this is the gears. From here, I'm going to look at something that's telling me I'm going to keep an eye out on your thread. So I have the eye. In my case, if the eye is open, the eye is telling me that it's going to tell me when I've run out of thread or I've broken either of the top thread or the spool. That's where I want to turn it off. So in my case, just a push of the button will close those eyes and let me know that it's not going to tell me if my thread is broken or I've run out of thread. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. Turning that sensor off is important for any computerized machine. If you have a mechanical machine, you will just need to remove your top thread and your bobbin thread. But the computerized machines, you're going to have to let it know that you don't want that reading. From there, I'm going to be able to just do my quilting. And I'm going to be able to change these settings as I go along. So I'm going to be able to learn my speed and get accustomed to what the machine and I like to do together. So I've made a quilt sandwich. I have a front fabric and the back fabric. I don't have to worry about pulling thread up because there is no thread. I am leaving the needle. And that's going to give me a better judge of what I want to quilt. So I could just start quilting. Try to go as slow as you can. Trying different patterns that you're used to or different patterns that you want to try. Keeping that foot down all the way is not going to adjust the speed. It's by my hand. So I can go as quick as I want. As slow as I want. There's no thread tangling, so I have no fear. We can do the same system with a regular sewing machine. That gives us a chance to try different stitches and different techniques that we want to use. So what we're actually doing is sewing and testing before we actually do any sewing. If you want to try a pattern, you're going to be able to trace that pattern on your fabric. And then I can go over it and over it and over it, the same lines over and over again. There's no thread buildup, there's no tangling, but it's helping my memory get used to the designs. So I can go as slow as I want, and then I can pick up the speed and see exactly what my comfort level is to that particular pattern. And going over that same line many times is not going to hurt the fabric. It's just helping me remember the stitches. Then on my last stitch, I'm going to thread my thread and do one more test, making sure that my fabric and my thread are going to work together. I will use this quilt sandwich over and over again, learning from my air quilting and testing my thread when I'm ready. So after a while, I'm going to have thread testing on it and lots of holes with my air quilting. Air quilting and air sewing is a lot of fun to do because we waste no thread and no fabric, but it also gives us a chance to get used to using that certain system or the technique that we want to do. It's sort of like learning how to drive a car, never leaving the parking lot, and never running out of gas. This system works great for me, and I do hope you give it a try. And thank you for asking, what is air quilting and sewing? And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're talking about and sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.